teachers and parents always thought I was just bad, naughty, a naughty boy. And what I would go back now and tell them about, I'm not naughty, I'm just bored. I'm just
Yeah.
disengaged. I'm not interested. This learning style is horrible. I'm a bit like the boys you talked about, where even on podcasts, I'm a nightmare because I'm just constantly doing all this.
Yeah.
And the idea that anyone can learn properly by sitting down for 5 hours every single day and reading from a book quietly is so absurd, especially for boys. That fails everyone, but especially boys who you cannot get a boy to sit down for that long quietly
Mm.
and reading without him throwing the book across the room. And we need to realize that's not him
Yeah.
misbehaving, that's him disengaged and bored. So we need to think about how we're going to teach those boys in ways that are more in line of what they need from us. So let's meet the boys where they're at, most of all, most importantly. I know there's a survey recently where they did ask boys, and I'm so sick and tired of the one voice I've not heard in any of this about talk of the fanfare around adolescence. I've never heard a single young boy. I've not heard any boy. It's always a celebrity or Stephen Bartlett or like Keir Starmer or someone else. And I'm like, where are the boys? Let's get the boys in. Let's hear what they've got to say. Like literally, I've not heard a peep from them, which is a massive problem and symptomatic of the issue as well. They actually have asked boys, what is it you like most about school? And they said three things. The first was nothing. The second was PE. PE, that's not surprising. PE, and they're not doing that anymore. PE is just going out the window, and I need more of that, more physical health in general for boys and all children. And the third thing was substitute teachers. So the idea is that they hate their actual teachers, but they love it when a substitute comes in. And I'm like, you know what? Those are probably the three things I like most as
Yeah.
well.
You'd
I was
agree.
like, I don't like anything, first of all, but PE is excellent. And thirdly, I did like the substitute teachers because they were just a bit kinder to me. So yeah, I would learn from those three things, and I'd ask them, what else can you teach us? Because it sounds like a lot to be learned. More PE, more unique learning styles that make use of the ways in which boys like to learn, more physical activity in general, more spatial learning, more creative skills, more workshops,
Mm.
more male teachers, of course, excellent. Like there's a lot of research that finds that male teachers are less likely to problematize boys' behavior, and boys act up more and are more disobedient to women in classrooms. I think that a lot of that's because a lot of teachers who are mostly women don't understand as well as male teachers where these boys' so-called bad behavior is coming from. Like I said, I would understand, I think, because I'd be like, I know what I was you when I was your age. I would be throwing a book at my teacher just like you are to me. So fundamentally, it starts with asking boys, what do you need from us and what are we getting wrong?
Yeah.
And make a Netflix series about that. I reckon I'd love to watch that Netflix series. And like, what can we do to help you meet you where you're at least acknowledge what the problem is, where it starts, and how we failed you definitely in terms of education, certainly in terms of
Mm.
how do we fail to see boys as victims in their own right. A lot of
Yeah.
these boys, one in six boys, will be sexually abused before he's 18. That's a lot. That's not even that less. Not that's comparable to what women experience. And I never see boys ever mentioned as victims, and it's a massive deal. Like they'll experience sexual violence, they'll experience physical violence, they'll experience bullying, and we need to see these boys as victims in their own right. As was slightly alluded to with Jamie, but not really. Like he got a few nasty comments and then stabbed someone to death. That's not what happens. But there was a stark correlation between really, really intense, violent bullying, relentless bullying, and boys that then go on to have violent fantasies and become violent themselves. So a bit like the spanking, we've got to ask ourselves who's teaching them these lessons. And maybe it's bullying. Like bullying
Mm.
is out of control in schools.
Yeah.
It's basically like the abuse of children on under the like it's like institutionalized abuse, if I'm going to say it, by schools onto children. And I feel like a lot more accountability has to be had to stop bullying because the
Yeah.
damage it does not only to children but to all society